Hey, welcome back to Campfire Stories. So, I got a story here that's supposedly true, but I can't want to be 100% sure. It was told to me by a friend, and apparently he saw it online or something, so, don't believe what you hear on the internet, but supposedly it's true. It sounds realistic. So, there was a little girl, and the story goes that she had French braids in, and she had these braids in for quite a while. And it's normal when you have braids to have them in for quite a while. I mean, I have a sister, I have a daughter, so trust me, those braids do not get done every night. um it's like guys, which it's like when a guy has a short haircut, it's just a way to not have to style your hair. um so when this girl had her braids in for like a couple weeks, and after like a week or two of having them in, she started complaining to her mother about a headache. Now, the first time she tells her mom, I got a headache, her mom just dismisses it and says it will go away on its own. Which, if it was a headache, it would be true. It would go away on its own. Of course. But, the mother had no way to know what actually was going on. And I don't blame the mother for not knowing, but after like a couple more days of complaining of a headache, I would have been like, after like a couple more complaints, after like a second complaint, after the first complaint, I probably would have been checking for at least ticks or something. Kids get into all kinds of stuff, bushes. I mean, when I was a kid, I would play in the canyons by my house. I was playing in the woods, the canyons. I was all over the place. I mean, hell, just a couple years back, I came across one of my old childhood forts in the canyon. I climbed up on the crudely made watchtower that I made out, and it just collapsed. I was like, oh, that was a bad idea. The thing's like, what, like 20 years old now? I just climbed it and was like, oh god, that was bad. So, of course, I got all kinds of stuff as a kid. I got spider bites, ticks. I came across rattlesnakes. I came across all kinds of critters that were not too friendly and just wanted to bite me. So my daughter's a lot of the same way. She's a wild child. So I would 100% be, checking for ticks or spider bites or anything like that, because there's a lot of spiders like brown recluse, black widow that could really do some damage. But this girl had her braids in for like a couple weeks, and eventually she told someone else other than her mother. She told her teacher, so her teacher thought maybe her braids are too tight. Reasonable assumption. Teacher didn't know the braids were in for at least a month at this point. So the teacher takes a look, and she can't see anything wrong. So the teacher says, I can't see anything wrong. Your braids aren't really tight. So the teacher sends sends a kid home, and next day complains to the teacher again. I have a headache. I have a headache. My head hurts, and she won't stop fidgeting. So the teacher suggests to her mother to take her to the hospital. So finally, when just the mother got a note from the school saying your daughter's been complaining for several days about a headache, you need to take her to the hospital. The mother finally said, okay, yeah, let's go to see the doctor. So she gets to the doctor, and the doctors think, oh, maybe her braids are too tight. Again, reasonable assumption. So it's the first thing that comes to mind. So the doctors undo the braids to see and check to see if there's any inflammation, and what falls out? A dead spider. So they're thinking, oh, the spider bit her, and she has some swelling on their skull or something like that. Nope. They later discover there's empty egg sac that the spider laid inside her braids. Oh boy, that ain't good. So this spider laid eggs in her braids, and spiders don't really have that long of a lifespan. They only live for like a couple months, so they grow up real fast and they leave the nest immediately. The mother dies after laying eggs, and is basically a carcass that the babies consume afterwards. If you didn't know that much about spiders, I'm sorry. There's a lot of information to know about spiders. But that's how most spiders actually behave. So when they found the egg sac, they were a little bit concerned. Maybe she got bit a couple times, but they did not think that what happened next was actually what happened. So they further inspect for bites or something like that to see if there's some kind of allergic reaction going on or something like that. See if the spider's bit her or the spider's died in her hair. So they're checking her hair and they start realizing the spiders are still in her hair and alive and well. The baby spiders are growing up in her hair and eating her scalp. They were eating the little girl's scalp. Now this alarmed the doctors quite heavily, and the girl was hospitalized and immediately given treatment. And she was hospitalized immediately, given treatment, and I'm sure the mother felt real bad about not listening and taking her to the doctor sooner. But a headaches happen. Headaches come and go. They're a common thing. They're a part of life. So there's no reason to believe it wasn't anything else. But as a father and that has a child that basically is me when I was growing up, I know that my daughter gets into all kinds of stuff, and half the time I don't even know what the hell she gets into. It's weird. But when I was a kid, I was running the canyons, running the woods. I was doing some crazy stuff, and some pretty dangerous stuff as well. So obviously, my parenting strategies are to check for ticks, check for spiders, check for that kind of stuff. If my daughter says she has a headache, and essentially, if there's nothing there, if it doesn't go away within a couple hours, take her to the doctor because she might have hit her head. I know I hit my head a bunch when I was a kid. But the girl gets hospitalized. I'm getting back on track now. The girl gets hospitalized and she gets treatment. They're trying to heal her scalp. They're giving her antibiotics because the spiders apparently ate a large majority of her scalp. Now, unfortunately, the little girl did die later on in the hospital due to an infection of having massively exposed wounds and spiders in her head. Naturally, that's you could very easily die from lots of tiny injections of spider venom, and at the same time, spiders literally eating you alive. So yeah, the poor girl did apparently die in the hospital while receiving treatment. She didn't make it, but she did later on pass away from the injuries, and it's unfortunate. And I'm sure the mother feels horrible and wish she took her daughter to the emergency room for that headache. But if someone said, you think about it from this perspective, like no one knew there were spiders in her hair. No one intentionally put spiders in her hair. No one knew there were spiders in her hair. If someone knew there were spiders in her hair, they would have taken her to the hospital a lot sooner. If there was no sign of anything wrong other than a headache, would you take your child to the emergency room for a headache? That is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous notion. But if it's a headache that lasts a couple days, definitely I'm taking my daughter to the emergency room. But I'm going to check her hair for any bites or ticks or anything like that. So I hope you enjoyed this story. I mean, it's a sad story, but I thought it was one worth sharing, and kind of gives you some perspective. If you have a headache, it may not be a headache. If you have braids, just be aware of other factors that could be happening, and maybe pay more attention to your children. Maybe go spend some time camping or something. Go out and enjoy the world. Anyways, this has been another story from Campfire Stories, and enjoy your night. Uh, and like and subscribe. Comment down below if you want to hear more true stories like this, or keep telling the scary stories. It seems a lot of people are liking the scary stories, and a lot of people are liking the true stories. Some stories are doing better than others, gotta say. Some are surprisingly well. So, have a good one.